You know what day it is today? It is time for Decklist Review Day. Alright, today we're going to be reviewing Decklist all day, and if you want your Decklist eligible, you go in the description below. Join the Discord, find the channel Decklist Review, and then enter the command !review deck space, give the URL to your Decklist, and you'll be eligible at random for Decklist Review. I hope you're all ready for this. We're going to start it all off with... Who's this deck list that I just pulled? It was Planksy's mono white vehicles in Pioneer. Alright, this is an interesting one. We've got Toolcraft Exemplar. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an artifact, Toolcraft Exemplar gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If you control 3 or more artifacts, it also gains first strike until end of turn. Not bad! So you can have a 1 mana 3/2 creature. Hey, that's a pretty good rate in Magic these days. So we have also Hotshot Mechanic. Hotshot Mechanic crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater. Interesting. So it's also a 2/1 creature, which is not too bad, but it might as well be a 4 power creature when it's crewing the vehicles. Okay, Consulate Dreadnought. So I think this is the point of this deck. It's like, it's a vehicle deck. It's supposed to crew things. So 1 mana 7/11. Does anyone think that that was a mistake? I don't think it was a mistake. They were like poking some fun at 7/11. Open 24/7. Crew 6. Tap any number of creatures you control with power 6 or more. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. I recall, like, what's his name? Aspiring Spike made a deck with this. I don't remember what, but he made something. He made something happen. Yeah, it's a lot of power in this list. Good morning, Mies. Okay, so in addition to all this, we have Ingenious Smith, which I think is a very good card for this list because when it enters the battlefield, you may look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal an artifact card from among them, put it into your hand, so it's impulse for artifacts, and also gets pretty big by itself. Giant Ox. Giant Ox crews vehicles using its toughness rather than its power. This is an awkward card. Like, I see benefits to this card. Turn 2, you completely stone block any of the aggro decks. You know, it's like, just shove it to Swiftspear. Swiftspear, bring it on! Bring it on, Swiftspear. You basically need to, like, bolt it twice in addition to attacking with a Swiftspear to take down a Giant Ox. And it very nicely can crew a lot of your artifacts, so it's a really good enabler. Colossal Plow. When Colossal Plow attacks, add white, and you gain 3 life. Until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. I don't know how this will benefit you, but maybe it will to help cast your larger spells. There's like nothing in here I don't know any of these cards. Like, I know Giant Ox exists, but I've never had to read it before. Armed and Armored. Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until end of turn. Choose a dwarf you control. Attach any number of equipment you control to it. Do we have any dwarves? Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until end of turn. I think this is just a means of animating your creatures. Oh no, you do have a dwarf. You have 1 dwarf. Hold on, but you don't have... Attach any number of equipment. I don't think we have that much equipment or any equipment, so it doesn't matter. KBG, my new favorite day of Nikachu. It's Decklist Review Day. You better support it. Better support Decklist Review. Colossal Plow is actually pretty good. I assume it's Pioneer. This is absolutely Pioneer. This looks like a solid deck so far. This looks like... I'm a little suspicious of Armed and Armored because it doesn't really... It's like... For 1 turn, you get to turn all your vehicles into creatures, but then that's it. So it's sort of card disadvantage. In some other cases, I guess you could bluff blocking. So you like animate your creatures and then all of a sudden you can block with all your big chunky stuff. I would have to play it to really know for sure, but this looks like one of the weaker cards so far. Then we have Michiko's Reign of Truth. Chapters 1 and 2, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact or an enchantment you control. And then you can exile this. I don't know what the flat backside is. Portrait of Michiko gets +1/+1 for each artifact under enchantment you control. This is a very... Target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each artifact or enchantment you control. I guess that could be good. I guess that could be great. Again, it requires playtesting. No removal on the deck. Oof. SRAM will give you some wheels. That is interesting. Okay, so Peace Walker Colossus, white and 1 generic. Another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. Crew 4. Big chunky guy. So this is really nice with a Giant Ox. You'll have like Giant Ox into like Peace Walker Colossus. Immediately you can start blocking. And then attacking next turn. Surge Hacker Mech. Menace. When Surge Hacker Mech enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to twice the number of vehicles you control to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage. I like that. That's reach. You could, in theory, just win with your vehicles. Just like vehicle. Okay, you're dead. Hold on, is target... Oh, no, is it not players? Hold on, you control... target creature or planeswalker. Oh, that sucks. It is removal, though. It is removal, alright? So there was some argument, oh, there's no removal. No, there is actually no removal. There is a little bit of removal. Do you see that removal? There's removal here. It's called the Surge Hacker Mech. I wish it hit the opponent, though. Karn, Sign of Urza. Not bad. Why a 1-of, though? And Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. Okay, so... Okay, suggestions. I am open to suggestions. I think the Armed and Armored, without playtesting this card, I think it's the worst card in the deck. Because it's like a one-shot deal. You put your creatures out and you animate them and then you attack. But if you don't have any more Armed and Armored, then, well, nothing else happens. Portable Hull is a very interesting take. Let's see. What do we have here for mana? Because you're going to need enough... What? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 white sources. Portable Hull might be difficult. What does Mech Hanger do? Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a pilot or vehicle spell. Target vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That is great! Target vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. That is great. Hold on. Now, does it become like basically crude? Does it get everything that you want? Mech Hanger is amazing. Mech Hanger is proof you don't need this Armed and Armored thing. Because you should depend on your Mech Hanger. Yeah, it's only 1 vehicle, but like big deal. Inventor's Fair, Field of Ruin. Okay, so it's possible you can add Portable Hull and remove maybe Inventor's Fair and Field of Ruin. And maybe Rogue's Passage. These are very clunky cards. And they're not really that important to your game plan. I don't even know about Darksteel Citadel. I mean, it's possible you can remove the Darksteel Citadel and keep Field of Ruin, Inventor's Fair, and Rogue's Passage if you want. I like the idea of having removal, though. I really like the idea of having removal. It's crude, yes, without having to crew it. Beautiful. Put in Gingerbrew to hit hard with the Buff Saga. I don't think this is a Gingerbrew deck. I'd remove the Passage, remove 1 Citadel and Hanger, and keep Fair. You like the Fair? Alright. Witherfang likes the Fair. The Hanger is actually terrible. Too much mana. Mech Hanger? I think in the late game, you're going to want to have this, like especially when your hand is depleted. So it looks like a lot of mana, but you're free rolling on this. Just keep that in mind. You're free rolling. And now that I look at it, I think you actually have way too much. You actually don't have enough white mana in your deck. You should have 14 white. You should have 14 white mana in your deck minimum, absolute bare minimum to cast your 1-drops, and you don't have that. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have to up to 14. So we will remove a Rogue's Passage, the Field of Ruin, or you could just dump the Darksteel Citadels. Oh, no, but you want that for maybe the Toolcraft Exemplar? If you control an artifact? Okay. You know what? I personally would dump the Field of Ruin, Rogue's Passage, Inventor's Fair, and 1 Darksteel Citadel. Or you can dump 1 Mech Hanger, just in case that's too clunky. But I like the Mech Hang. Without playtesting this deck, I like that we have some means of activating these vehicles, even if we have no creature in play. And then, yeah, I like the idea of adding... What was suggested? It was Portable Hull. So you at least have some interaction in this deck. Enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value 2 or less until Portable Hole leaves the battlefield. A great suggestion. You want Field of Ruin against Mono Green and Pioneer. Is it really going to make a difference? Honestly, I think this deck is going to get hammered by Mono Green no matter what. Mono Green is just a very good deck. And you do your best. We need Brave the Elements. That is not a bad suggestion either. We need more protection for our cultures. You mean our... Portable Hole should be in the sideboard, but not main deck. Alright, so I guess there is some debate over this. What do we have in... Okay, we do have Portable Hole in the sideboard. Not a whole lot of them. Deafening Silence, March of Otherworldly Light, Lantern of the Lost, Damping Sphere, Unlicensed Hearse. Oh, give me a second. It's getting noisy outside. When I can't hear Decklist review music, I gotta solve that problem. Skyclave Apparition to have removal and crew. It's a bit of a liability. It's okay. It's okay, but it's not. You know what? I'm gonna say no. This deck is chunky. It's a very chunky deck. Like it's the curve is pretty high. In my opinion, there's a lot of 3-drops, 4-drops, a lot of 2-drops. So, I mean, if you hit 4 mana, you don't want to be playing Skyclave Apparition. I really like Portable Hole because Portable Hole is 1 mana. I don't mind the idea of having Brave the Elements in this deck either. It can act like a counter spell to any removal, and it can also sometimes, like, what is Brave the Elements? You know, I used to laugh at this card, but it's really not that bad. Choose a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the color from chosen color until end of turn. Actually, maybe this is not going to be that great because our heavy hitters are all going to be artifacts. White creature. Yeah, you know what? This is not good enough. I would not play this. If it could protect the artifacts, I'd be 2 thumbs up. But as it is, nope. Take some vehicles out and maybe add some in the wishboard. There are some. Unlicensed Hearse. Oh, there is no wishboard, by the way. This is not Karn the Great Creator. This is Karn Sign of Urza. Just to give a heads up. Yeah. Our creatures are colorless. Alright, I think we gave some good suggestions, especially on the mana base. Because otherwise, you're actually going to be super choked on mana. You probably already experienced that already if you've playtested this deck. So, thank you for submitting the deck list. Alright. You buckle up. We've got tons more deck lists to go through, but we also have to get through our sponsors, starting with FusionGamingOnline.com. Order all your singles for Commander Pauper Modern from one place, FusionGamingOnline.com, and they've got a huge sale. What is this huge sale? Giant summer sale, up to 50% off sealed product and other product. Check them out at FusionGamingOnline.com. Don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu, though. Whenever you're buying anything from there, including singles, for 5% off all your purchases, and it supports the channel. And we're going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. You want to know if that artifact, mechanic, vehicle deck works? We don't have to buy into it immediately. You can try it out with Mana Traders. Get that Pioneer deck, just rent it for 1 fee, and then find out before you dedicate buying the entire 75. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_9Y6. Mana Traders, refining the metagame since their existence. Well, where's the deck list review banner? SRAM seems like an easy way to keep hands filled. That's possible. That's possible. But SRAM sort of sucks by itself. Alright. People are submitting deck lists, and I'm pulling them. Come on, my random thing's not working. Come on. Let's go. Good morning, Q2K Fallen. Good morning, class. Hope everyone had a good work week. Oh yeah, I had a wonderful work week. There we go. Okay, Dominaria Stu-Knighted. Dominaria Stu-Knighted has a deck list for us. Spirited Away, the deck list. Not the movie, the deck list. Yeah, smash like, says Banshee. Don't forget about those likes. Okay, Spirit Away, more info in the description. I love it. New to Modern, after playing Pioneer for a while, want to make a decently playable Spirits deck. Bant Spirits is definitely not necessary, so feel free to cut Cocoa and green sources if there are better suggestions. Manabase, I think it needs work, but I'm not sure. Okay, we'll take a look at it. Ah, you want to try with Yorion. Yorion. Mausoleum Wanderer, Spectral Sailor, Rattle Chain, Shacklegeist, Supreme Phantom, Drogskull Captain, 1 Kira, Skyclave Apparition, Spellqueller, Solitude. Okay, so we have at least some business to be running Yorion here. Prismatic Ending, Collected Company. So the real question is, do we have enough creatures for Collected Company? And are you only running green for Collected Company? You have also Collector Roof in the sideboard. I guess you have some Bosejus. Ooh, this is a clunky. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, there's a lot of colorless in Spirits, you know? Okay, so hold on. Let's... Can this even be a Cocoa deck is the real question. You know, if you were a Cocoa deck, maybe it's better to, instead of Ether Value, of Utopia Sprawl. But let's see. Okay, so you can get this. You can get this. So 8, 9, 13... 13 plus 20, 33. 33. Yeah, I think you're making it work. I think you're making it work. No, 33 is good. I mean, 27 is like the bar for a 60 card deck. And so we've added 6 cards. So that sounds about right. I think that sounds about right. It's close, though. It's really close. Court Hussar legal? It is, but it's a really clunky card. Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Then put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice unless you pay less white was meant to cast it. And it's not a spirit. Rush says, do you do Commander Decklist, or do you prefer Modern Pioneer Decklist? You can submit anything, but for Commander, I'm not going to suggest anything. I'm just going to let chat just blurt out whatever they want. So you'll get reviewed. I can't guarantee you're going to get any good feedback. Now, to be safe, I would dump this. I probably would dump this. Now, but to not be safe, you have the option of, like, adding Utopia Sprawl here, but that also might be hard because you need a lot of green sources, probably like 18 to 20 forests. Moorland Haunt, Ottawara. Oh, you don't even have the... Okay, let's just make this clean and easy. Get rid of the Collected Company. What are you going to replace it with, though? I don't know. Maybe another Kira? I don't think this deck can benefit that much. Oh, you can add, what's it called? The creature that gives all your creatures indestructible. Lead the Stampede. Yeah, there's Cavern in here already. You know what I want in this deck? I want that white land. I want the white land. I want the white channel land. What is it called? The white channel land is called something. Aganjo. How many Aganjos are there? Aganjo, Seed of the Empire. Deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, which I think is very good in this deck. Because if you attack with a flyer and they block with the flyer, their flyer is probably bigger than your flyer, but then you Aganjo them, and then they're dead. Alright, so I would put that instead of the Boseiju. I don't know how badly you need this Boseiju. The green, you have 2 Knight of Autumn. Oh, it's awkward. Like, I see a bit of justification for this green, but it's not great. It's not great. I will say you can do it. I'll put it this way. You can do that. It won't be bad. How many green sources do you have? 1, 4... this is 4, 8, 9... 10. Oh, you don't have enough green sources. I'll forget it. Screw it. Okay, we're gonna screw this Collected Company thing. Screw the Oof, and screw... Well, an Oof and Knight of Autumn are more castable because you have Collector. You have Cavern of Souls. And you have Ether Vial, but you know what? Let's just make this easy and cut the green. So without green, I don't know, put in, what is the Selfless Spirit? Selfless Spirit. Honestly, I don't think Spell Selfless Spirit is very well positioned right now because it's a 1 toughness creature. The biggest problem with spirits right now is it's got so many 1 toughness creatures, and you always gotta think, like, you're dead versus, like, what's it called, Ren and 6, right? You're just stone dead. Oh, you know what you could also use? Maybe you could have, okay, we're gonna take out the collected companies. You can put in 2 of your, you don't have any at all. March of Otherworldly Light. March of Otherworldly Light. You could put in 2. Actually, you don't need it. Maybe you don't need the removal that badly. You have Skyclave Apparition. You know, I take it back. You have Skyclave Apparition. I don't think you need that much removal. You have the option, but I don't think so. Just put in Selfless Spirit. Selfless Spirit is good enough. And then, yeah, put in the white channel land. You can keep 1, because if you have Prismatic Ending, you can keep, like, 1 Breeding Pool in your deck. Or if you have a tri-land, that would be good. I don't know if there's an appropriate tri-land right now. And then just fix up your mana base. Just, you know, get rid of the Breeding Pool in the forest. Add your just more Seachrome Coast? I don't know. Glass Pool Mimic would be amazing. Yeah, actually, some of the lands actually could turn into Glass Pool Mimic. I'm not opposed to that at all. Or maybe one of these collected companies is also a Glass Pool Mimic somehow. For some reason, I think 31 lands is low, but I don't know for sure. Well, no, I don't think it needs the green either. And then instead of Knight of Autumn and Collector Oof, I don't know. I don't know if Thalia, Garden of Thraben is necessary in the sideboard either. You have some weird sideboard choices here. What's like some banger white sideboard cards? Yeah, is there a Bant Triland? What's it called? Oh, you know what this deck could use? Force of Negation. That's what this deck could use. This deck could use Force of Negation or Subtlety. I don't know if it needs Subtlety, but definitely could use some Force of Negation. I just realized you have no counter spells. You guys are mentioning things like Lofty Denial. I'm not really going to run Lofty Denial, but I will run counter spells. Moorland Haunt, take it out. No, I like Moorland Haunt. This is a great card. This is a great card. This is a good one. This deck will go to the late game. Oh wow, a real episode for the first time in a solid week. I think there's Rest in Peace. That's the only solid sideboard card I see here. You have Remorseful Cleric as well. That's a good one. I believe in that one. 4 Force is so easy to alternatively cast here. Absolutely. Plus you can just, you know, put a Yorion in your hand. Okay, so, you know, get rid of your Collector Oof, your 2 Knight of Autumn, add 4 Force Negation. I guess that's the easiest fix I can make. Absorb? No, we're not playing Absorb. That's a bit expensive. All right, I think that's it. That's it. All right. Well, so we'll move on to. Thank you very much for submitting the deck list. I hope that was some useful feedback. It's better than nothing. All right, we're the Caleb Poe. The Caleb Poe. Let's go. So this is the first time in a really long time since we've done like more than 2 deck lists on one day. All right, Eldrazi Tron. Okay, the Jank Constructor. Love the name. 2 Walking Blisses, 4 Matter Reshaper, 4 Thought Not Seer, 4 Reality Smashers, 2 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, 4 Karn the Great Creator, 1 Ugin the Ineffable, 1 Ugin the Spirit Dragon, 2 Warping Whale, 2 Dismember, 2 All Is Dust, a Basilisk Collar, 4 Expedition Map, 2 Relics, 1 Forsaken Monument, 2 Blast Zone, 1 Cavern, 4 Eldrazi Temple, Scavenger Grounds, Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, Urza's Saga, Urza's Tower, 2 Wastes, and that's interesting. You don't even want to have 1 Chalice of the Void in the sideboard. That is a very interesting choice. Very interesting choice. I think so. In this deck, what they're saying is I don't want to play with Chalice on 1 because you know what? It's sort of good, but it's sort of not. They're gonna play with Relic. So a lot of decks are graveyard based these days. I mean, a lot of the bigger ones. And also the Chalice on 1 or 0 is pretty useless versus the Omnath deck. I see 0 for 0 mana. I guess Eldrazi is Spanish now? Might as well be. Okay, so... Tormod's Crypt, Basilisk Collar, Grafdigger's Cage, Pithing Needle. And I guess by the time you get the Karn out, it is pretty useless to go get a Chalice of the Void. But it might not. Trinisphere, love it. Very underrated card in Modern. Very, very underrated card. I don't see anything particularly wrong with this deck. Although I would say that if you're running Relic, I'd probably want to double down on this. Like, I would... When I think of Relic, I think of it as a replacement to... a clear replacement to Chalice of the Void when Chalice is not good. Let me take a look at some deck lists. And, you know, Eldrazi Tron's not dead yet. It's amazing how far it's moved down in the meta, but it's not dead. Prison Tron. Where's Eldrazi? There's Eldrazi Tron. Okay, this one's running the Chalice and Relic. But I swear I've seen quite a few. I mean, maybe I'm not going to find it. Hold on. What are you doing over here in this preliminary? That's interesting. The flavor right now is 4 Chalice, 2 Relic. You might want to go that direction. There was a really big result with no Chalice's main. If this is a budget thing, then, you know, I get it. Okay, hold on. This is Matthews 34. This is the Eldrazi Tron master. He has had so... If you look at his results, it's like Eldrazi Tron for years. It's just Eldrazi Tron. He'll know better than anyone else. Okay, what is his latest Eldrazi Tron list? He knows better than anyone else what's the best way to play Eldrazi Tron right now. And this is it. Okay, so he says 4 Chalice, 2 Relic himself. He's also on 3 Walking Ballista, 3 Matter Reshaper, 4 Thought-Knot Seer, 4 Reality Smasher, 3 Dismember, 2 Warping Wail, 1 All Is Dust. So he's heavy on the interaction. He's pretty heavy on the interaction. So what I'll say is, your deck is sound, it's clean. It's a clean list. There's nothing wrong with this list. I would run more Walking Ballistas, but it's not quite in the budget at the moment. Also, Chalice is pretty expensive. Okay, your deck is fine. Your deck is fine. I might play a little... Personally, I'd play more Relics. I would play more Relics. I would get rid of maybe the Basilisk Collar and maybe When All Is Dust. Or... What was he doing? What is different about Matthews's list? That he can squeeze... Yeah, no Basilisk Collar in here. So I would get rid of the Forsaken Monument, the Basilisk Collar for 2 more Relics. This is what I would do. So if you don't have the Chalice interaction, at least have the Relic interaction. And it's relevant right now, beating Living End and Murktide. Turn 1 Relic can hold off, you know, Dragon Rage Channelers and Murktides big time. Eldrazi Tron, more like Eldrazi Prawn. They play Urza Saga, right? I could fetch Relic in case of emergency. Absolutely, you can do that as well. Yep. It's just another way of finding your Relic. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for submitting your deck list. Moving on. Oh, up the Sagas to 4 and put in more 1-drops like Spear. I don't mind the Spear idea, honestly. It's not a bad idea. It's not terrible. It gives like Thought-Knots here some room to like crash in. But I don't want to up the Sagas because we need this for Path to Exile, Field of Ruin, Ghost Quarter, and you need maximum Urza lands, you know, because this is like basically an Urzatron deck. Blast Zone is probably more important in Cavern of Souls. Like these are all just really, really good cards. Urza Saga is just like a sweetener, but I don't mind that idea to get like. What's it called? Get Shadow Spear over something like Basilisk Collar. And there's room to maybe shave something else in this deck for that. It's a good idea. Rule of thumb, play expensive cards. You got it, right? You got it, Lars. You got it. Do you only look at modern decks for deck list review? We look at anything except draft decks. Don't show me your cube pool. Although if you submit a commander deck, I'm going to say nothing. I'm just going to read out the cards and let chat spam anything, so read chat carefully for your suggestions. Read chat carefully. And speaking of Lars... well, you got Vampire Fury by Ludwig. We got the Vampires. Insolent Neonate Bloodghast, Cemetery Gatekeeper, Cordial Vampire, 2 Champion of Dusk. There's the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of vampires you control. I don't like cards like this, to be honest. I honestly don't really like cards like this. And the reason for that is, like, okay, it's 5 mana. Oh, I guess you can cheat it and play with Sorin. But, like, outside of Sorin, it's like 5 mana, so you're going to get into play late game, so your life total might be pretty low. I mean, you're not a defensive deck. You got things like Insolent Neonate and Bloodghast running around here. So, I mean, you might want the cards, but you also might want to live. And Champion of Dust doesn't really do that. 3 Fury. 1 Blood Chief's Thirst, 3 Fatal Push, 2 Lightning Bolt, 4 Thoughtseize, 2 Terminate. Do you have enough red cards for this Fury? 4, 8, 11, 13, 15. No, you need 18. I think the borderline number of cards to justify a pitch spell is 18. I could be wrong. It could be 16, but I believe it's 18. You need 18 of a card, 18 of a color card in your deck in order to justify a pitch card like this. Deck gets hosed by Plague Engineer. You know what? Fortunately for us, Plague Engineer is gone. There's not a single deck playing Plague Engineer out there, so if they do that, good. 1, so 4, 8, 11, 13, 15. No, not enough. Not enough. You can't run Fury in this deck. Alternatively, you could get rid of the Champion of Dusks, add a Fury, add a Lightning Bolt, or a Terminate. I like Terminate. It beats Murktide. Really like Terminate. Terminate is great right now. 16 is the absolute minimum, I think. Okay, if 16 is it, then you just need to get rid of like Champion of Dusk, add a Fury, and that would be good enough because you can pitch Fury to Fury. Is there enough like vampires to justify all this? There's a lot of removal here, which I'm fine with, to be honest. Maybe that's justifies the Champion of Dusk. Enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of vampires you control. So this is more of a controlling build. It's like Jund. I actually can get behind that. So actually this Champion of Dusk actually is looking better now. Not gonna lie. So now it's like a 4/4 late game bomb you play. And then you draw like 1 to 2 cards. And ideally, you're going to have the life to lose because of Sorin. Because you're actually more on the removal. Yeah, it's more like a rock deck using vampires. So if we look at it like that... okay, I would still add another Fury because otherwise the pitch part is useless. I don't know what I remove. Maybe 1 Fatal Push. Cordial Vampire. Cemetery Gatekeeper. Bloodghast. Insolent Neonate. Menace. Discard a card. Sacrifice Insolent Neonate. This card looks irrelevant to this deck, except to pitch to Fury. I might remove Insolent Neonate. It looks completely irrelevant. It's just a 1/1 with Menace. It actually makes no sense to me at all. I would play Dread Horde over the Bloodchief's Thirst. You know, how about we just remove Insolent Neonate and we spread the love around? We could have 2 Dread Boar. We could add another Lightning Bolt and Bloodchief's Thirst. I don't know what. I like Bloodchief's Thirst. I really like it. I like it in this economy. And then you would have 4, whatever. You'd have about 16. We'd keep all the Champion of Dusk. Actually, we could. I'm not gonna lie. We could add Champion of Dusk. I don't mind adding. Yeah, Neonate isn't great if you're not on blood tokens and or Croxa. Yeah, or like there's and we have very little graveyard synergy. What, Bloodghast? Is that it? It's very little graveyard synergy. Actually, there's also, if we remove Instant Neonate, we could put Dreadbore. We could also have 2 Inquisition of Kozilek, which we don't have. And I think Inquisition of Kozilek would be good for this deck as well. And so it'd be more of like a rock deck. I'm just saying, like, Insolent Neonate is like the weakest link of all these cards. Like, it has no business. Where is it? Like, at least Cemetery Gatekeeper has an ETB of exiling a card from a graveyard. I like that. I like that you get this value no matter what. And then, you know, you get this bonus that whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, deals 2 damage to them. Although I have to say, this one is also awkward. I think it would be best if there was, like, a lot of long-term stuff that comes back from the graveyard, like Blood Gas. But, you know, this is fine. This deck needs 2 more Blood Moon and 4 more Magus of the Moon and Blood Moon sleeves. Blood Moon can sometimes Blood Moon yourself. So yeah, I'd be looking actually to up the Champion of the Dusks. So we'd dump the Neonate. We could move up 1 more Champion of the Dusk, 1 more Fury. Oh shoot, we do have to balance. Okay, make sure you have 16 red sources with this deck. I'm just absolutely have 16 red sources. Village Rites is cute with gas recursion. It's cute, but I don't. This is too controlly of a deck. I wouldn't play it. Manabase. You got 4 Blackleaf Cliffs, 2 Blood Crypt, 4 Bloodstained Mire, 2 Castle Lothwain. Have the Eye Tyrant, Marsh Flats, Mountain Swamp, Urborg. Sideboard, you have Chalice, probably on 0. Engineered Explosives, which is fine. On 1, it's actually really good, especially if we take out the Neonate. Pithing Needle, Dothy Voidwalker. That's not a bad card to have in the main, honestly. And if you're too low on creatures because of the Neonate, I mean, you could replace them with Voidwalker. Remember, though, just keep in mind about Fury, 16. You want to have 16 red sources. Because this isn't, you can't cheat this thing in play. Fury ain't a vampire. Torpor Orb, Blood Moon, and Kolaghan's Command. I think that's good. Gatekeeper won multiple games in a league that I ran. That's good. KBG, I disagree. Harvester hits hard, triggers Cordial, is a discard outlet, and is walking removal. Gatekeeper is greater than Blood Tithe Harvester. What is the Blood Tithe Harvester? Blood Tithe Harvester. Oh, this guy. Enters the battlefield, create a blood token, sacrifice Harvester. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, where X is twice the number of blood tokens you have. I think this is a bit. This is not a blood token deck, so I don't think this is going to do very well in this deck. Not to mention, I really don't like sacking my creatures to destroy other creatures. But you do get that ETB, but I like the Cemetery Gatekeeper. Why K command in the side? Just some extra utility. I mean, in theory, it could be in the main. Yeah, in theory, it could be in the main. I made 30 Discords and submitted 30 Swan Song decks. All right, here we go. Okay, that's all the feedback I have for this deck list. Moving on. We got Josh. Bant Nightfall Saga. The Bant Nightfall deck. Okay, so we've got... Is this a Yorion deck? Feels like there's a million cards in here, but I guess there's not. Okay, we have Noble Hierarch, Knight of the Reliquary, 3 Spell Queller. Man, people are just trying to... They're trying to make you work, Knight of the Reliquary. They're trying to make you work. They're trying to give you a job. But you were forced into retirement years ago. Alright, 3 Spell Queller, 2 Tireless Provisionary. There's the battlefield, and you control, create a food token or a treasure token. Tireless Tracker. That's a very good card. It's probably, debatably, much better than Knight of the Reliquary in any deck. Titania, Protector of Argoth. Enters the battlefield, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. This is a very busted card if you can get this thing out and then get it to do its thing. Prismatic Ending, traverse the under Ulvenwald, 3 counterspell, 2 force negation. Mishra's Bauble, why? This has no business in this deck. I don't under. Oh, it's something to get with Urza. This is not an Urza Saga deck, I don't think. Zuron Orb, that's fine. That's Shadow Spear is fine. Mishra's Bauble is not fine. Neither Reliquary used to be good in Legacy Maverick. Not even played there. Maybe Knot of Autumn might be good. Maybe. But I mean, the idea is to keep recycling the lands, right? Put lands and you know, Urza Saga gets dumped into the graveyard. Retreat to Coralhelm. I mean, this is the whole point, actually. I mean, it creates this combo between Neither Reliquary and Retreat to Coralhelm, where you keep putting lands onto the battlefield, fetch lands, and then you can use Retreat to Coralhelm to untap your Neither Reliquary until it's big enough to kill your opponent. Okay, Mishra's... Okay, so there's a few things that was wrong with this deck. Just like the last deck, you don't have enough blue sources to run Force Negation. It's just might as well be a 3-mana counterspell most of the time. You've got the spell... So, like, if we count 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what? Hold on, I'm gonna quickly look. How many blue sources do you need in your deck for Force of Will turn? I mean, we don't necessarily need a turn 1, but... Okay, so the internet says 18 is enough to get by, though you will run into a lot of situations where you don't have blue. Alright, so the number is 18! Do you got your notepads out, everyone? You write it down. If you're gonna play a free spell in your deck, you need 18 of that color sources of of that card. And even at 18, it's not consistent. But you know what? It's good enough. I've honestly been running 18 for a very long time. Well, whatever. I've been running like really heavy on the Did you ever apologize for recommending that people get the... Get out of here. I don't even have to apologize for anything. I have 3 vaccinations. I'm waiting on a 4th. Saga is especially greedy in a 3-color deck. I mean, yes and no. Okay, I will say this much. Saga is greedy in a deck that's, like, very heavy on 3-drops. Like, it was fine in, like, the Jund deck. That, you know, like, the Jund Saga deck was totally fine. Because they were very, very cheap on spells. And now they dumped it. Now that Lurrus has been banned, they don't even play Saga anymore because they've decided to up their curve. So the higher your curve is, the worse Saga is because you need the lands in play. So I would take this thing out. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to take out Urza Saga, given this deck is clearly really chunky and clunky. Why don't we play that 1-drop crop rotation creature? What is that? I don't know. Birds of Paradise? We have so many... You know, well, not Birds of Paradise. We can play Utopia Sprawl in this deck. So we can dump Mishra's Bauble, add the Utopia Sprawl. Seems very divided on whether to be control or landfall. I think the idea is it's a mid-range deck. I think it's a mid-range deck with a random combo kill, and I think that's totally fine. Elvish Reclaimer. Oh! Elvish Reclaimer is a neat idea. This is a great idea. Yeah, green, Elvish Reclaimer gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. 2 mana, sacrifice a land, search your library for a land card, put onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. I have a question. Do we even need, like, Noble Hierarch? Is that important? Because I would rather have maybe Utopia Sprawl. You have to get to your 3-drops, right? I think it's, like, you don't want these vulnerable creatures. This is, like, old tech to be playing with things like Noble Hierarch. Utopia Sprawl is, like, the new way. Or maybe we get rid of Traverse? No, I think Traverse is fine. It finds lands, and it can find creatures if we have enough stuff in the graveyard. Quarter Calling? I don't know if that works here. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. I think he needs more dorks to get to 3-drops. So, I mean, alternatively, like, we could get rid of, I don't know, the counter spells and add 3 Utopia Sprawls. So, Elvish Reclaimer is just +2/+2. Sacrifice a land, search your library for a land card, put onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. You could, in theory, leave 1 Urza Saga in your deck just for Elvish Reclaimer. But in general, I wouldn't have the Urza Saga in the deck. Counterspell, well, Force of Negation is not necessarily bad, but we just don't have... Yeah, I think the solution to this Counterspell problem is we get rid of 3 Counterspell, 2 Force of Negation, we add a Spell Queller. We could add, like, we just fill everything up. We can have another Tireless Provisionary, we have another Tireless Tracker. It's just these Counterspells don't work in this deck. I mean, you could remove Mishra's Bauble and then maybe keep a very light Counterspell for 1 blue. Shrotinator, I got the answer for what the deck needs. Risen Reef to keep Titania going. You're welcome. Oh, interesting. That is a very good idea. That is a very, very interesting idea. We have Risen Reef in this deck. Even more reason to ramp into turn 2 Risen Reef. Whenever Risen Reef or another elemental enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top card of your library if it's a land card. But we do need elementals. How many elementals does this deck have? It only combos with our 1 Titania, right? We don't have elementals otherwise. No, I actually can't run this card. I can't justify running. It's a really cool card, though. Mystical Dispute would be fine for the sideboard, but not really for the main deck. Bauble is important for Traverse. We don't need this card, necessarily. Like, we don't need this card. Why can't we... I think the deck... Hold on, let's see. Okay, we can get Prismatic Ending in the graveyard. We can get a land in the graveyard. We can get... I don't think we need this card. Yeah, Aladamri's Call actually would be a much better card for this deck. Aladamri's Call, if you want to play that sort of game. Okay, I didn't spell that at all. Eldamri's? Have I been mispronouncing this card for forever? Eldamri's Call. No, it's not. It is Aladamri's Call. You scared me there, KBG. Some of you just let me say whatever I want for eternity. Okay, so Aladamri's Call would be way better suited for this deck. Way better suited. Especially when you have just a bunch of mana open who have nothing to do with it. I'm wondering if you should try to squeeze in Primeval Titan in here. As like another means of like have a win condition. And it would trigger Coral Helm as well. It would bring in 2 lands. You would actually have Vigilance with your Primeval Titan because you would attack. You get lands, and then you could scry and untap your Primeval Titan. What about Endurance? I love it. Okay, no, I don't want to play with Risen Reef. But I do like Endurance in the main. Yeah, that's definitely a card that should be in here. Okay, how are we changing this? We threw out a bunch of nonsense. Okay, we're removing a lot of this stuff. We're removing Traverse, Counterspell, 2 Force Negation, that's 8 cards. Removing Mishra's Bauble, that's 12 cards. We're going to replace some number with Aladamri's Call. We're going to replace some number with... So do we have 12 cards to work with? Aladamri's Call. Do we have enough lands? 23? Yeah, lands plus Noble Hierarch is fine. I would actually really like to replace Noble Hierarch with Utopia Sprawl, though. I would really like to replace that. Because this will die very often. It's just like, it's a Bolt the Bird situation. We said we wanted 4 of the Elvish Reclaimer. Key is speed or resilience here? Mostly resilience. I like the Spell Queller. I don't mind the Spell Queller. Spell Queller is totally fine. It's not terrible at all. What's the infinite combo? Well, it's not technically infinite, but you have Retreat to Coral Helm and Neither Reliquary. Neither Reliquary will look for a land out of your deck. You go find a fetch land, and then the landfall from Retreat to Coral Helm says you can untap a creature. So you untap Neither Reliquary to re-tap and activate it to go find another fetch land. Also, make sure you have enough fetch lands in this deck. I mean, that's the whole point of this deck, right? I don't even know if you have enough fetch lands. This is not a lot of fetch lands. Maybe 8 is enough. For Elvish Reclaimer, we need Flagstones of Trocaire. Yeah, we could put some Flagstones in the side. We just need 1, right? I don't know how many we need. If this is like a Simic Bant Elementals combo deck, we could even go infinite with Scoot Swarm. No, that's now that we're going crazy here. No, we're not playing Risen Reef. I don't think we're playing Risen Reef. We're just gonna... Oh, and then we want 4 Endurance. That's a very powerful main deck card. And you do have enough green creatures to play for free. You want 4 Flagstones of Trocaire? Well, okay, you figure out what to remove for the mana base. And then probably chop down the Urza Sagas. This does not really fit the deck at all. At all. You're a very chunky mid-range deck. And you need to cast your cards. And you don't even have that many artifacts. This is just not a lot of collection of artifacts here to justify this. I think you should cut the Urza Saga. Maybe that could be Flagstones of Trocaire. That'd be an easy, clean cut. Cut the Urza Saga, add the Flagstones of Trocaire. Saga to get Orb? I don't think Orb is necessary. Orb is just completely unnecessary in this deck. Is there like a creature orb that you can go get? You go Eladamri's Call for an orb? Orb is important for Titania? No, it's not. You just need neither Reliquary or Elvish Reclaimer. Get out of here. We don't need that. We don't need the orb to do what we want. And we can just play fetch lands. Whenever land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. This is completely irrelevant. Okay, I'll put it this way. Urza Saga is not going to help cast Titania, Protector of Argoth. That is not happening. Urza Saga will keep you at 3 lands because you're going to sack the Urza Saga before you even get there. And for that matter, Urza Saga, because it's not on the back, well, you'll get the Zuron Orb, but from there you won't get Titania out. So this is my argument. This has no synergy with such a high curve deck. And there go, you're not gonna get Titania out. Just, you just forget about that. And Zuron Orb is useless, has useless synergy with Titania. That's the way I'm looking at it. Orb is amazing with Titania, but I don't think this is going to happen, though. I know what you're saying, but we have other ways of inducing the synergy, especially since we have Retreat to Coral Helm here. Although I guess if you have Retreat to Coral Helm and neither Reliquary, you're probably you might win anyway. Elvish Reclaimer, Noble Hierarch, Prismatic Ending. Why do you guys like Noble Hierarch so much more than Utopia Sprawl? From my perspective, Utopia Sprawl is a absolutely superior mana dork, and it's not close. Okay, someone justify Noble Hierarch over Utopia Sprawl. Nikachu calling for fetch lands, but I don't see any Evolving Wilds. Saga probably isn't worth it. We require so many sources. I mean, unless you want to take out the Shadow Spear and add another Zuron Orb, and you just randomly have Zuron Orbs in the deck, but I think it's very... We only have 1 Titania. Well, I mean, I know we can fetch it with Traverse, or most importantly, we're removing Traverse for the Eladamri's Call. Sprawl is awkward because of the land sacking. Well, then just don't sack the land with... You're not sacking your... That actually makes no sense, Amazement. Or maybe, no, maybe it does make sense. You don't... Well, don't sack the land with the Sprawl. Utopia Sprawl can't attack for 1 on turn 2. Okay, you got me there. I think Utopia Sprawl is better. If you want, playtest either one, but... Anyway, I think we gave some good feedback to that list. And if you want to keep the Zuron Orb, keep a 1-up Zuron Orb. You should probably play 2 over the Shadow Spear, so you can increase its consistency. Neck it! Oh my god. I don't know why this is one of the most popular decks to submit to Decklist review, but okay. We've got Mere Tribal Combo. Oh, what is this? Is this... Oh, it's Commander. Alright, everyone. Okay, so apparently the Commander is the reality chip. I'm just going to read off all the cards. So your deck got presented in front of hundreds of millions of thousands of people. And, yeah, so okay, we got... And then chat will spit out whatever they think is necessary. We have Basalt Monolith, Bident of Thassa. Love that card. Played that many a time. Cloud Key. Colossus Hammer. Oh god, how are you equipping that thing? Dark Steel Forge. Door of Destinies. The Felwar Stone. Forsaken Monument. What are you gonna name Mirror? Genesis Chamber. Oh god. Icon of Ancestry. Lightning Greaves. Mindlock Orb. Mirror Matrix. Mirror Reservoir. Nettle Cyst. Obelisk of Erd. Possessed Portal. Sand-sized Divining Top. Soul Ring, of course. Spellbook. And Swiftfoot Boots. Please don't read it all. We need to reduce the time we are using up for each deck. I'm not going over anything more than just reading off the deck. Alloy Mirror. Brass Squire. Dark Steel Mirror. Ethereum Sculptor. Hover Mirror. Oh, here comes the mirrors. Iron Claw Mirror. It's got Infect. Lodestone Mirror. We got the Mirror Battlesphere, of course. What's a mirror deck without Mirror Battlesphere? Mirror Enforcer. That's one of maybe the most popular mirrors out there. This mirror has seen more play than the rest of this deck. We got Mirror Galvanizer, Mirror Land Shaper, Mirror Mind Servant, Mirror Moon Vessel. I feel like they didn't really give a good payoff to the mirrors. Like if you have 10 mirrors in play, you win the game. Mirror Propagator, Mirror Retriever, Mirror Scrapling, Mirror Sire, Mirror Superion, Mirror Welder, Padim Consul of Innovation, Paladin Mirror, Parcel Mirror, Perilous Mirror, Plague Mirror, Psychosis Crawler, Sarcomite Mirror, Silver Mirror, Solemn Simulacrum, of course. You gotta have those EDH staples in here. Who's the commander in this deck? It is the Reality Chip. Okay, Walking Ballista. And then it's blue. Because we are playing with the Reality Chip, so we get to play with Mirror Maid. You may have Mirror Maid enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield, so you can double your Mirror Battle Sphere. Mystic Remora, Propaganda, Blue Sun Zenith. Shouldn't there be like is there Whir of Invention in here? Brainstorm. The Brainstorm seems absolutely useless in this deck. Cackling Counterpart, Counterspell, Factor Fiction. You should have Whir of Invention. Said I wouldn't. Whir of Invention. You should also have Urza in here. I think you should have Whir of Invention, which is, well, it's not cheap. So I don't know if you're on a budget or not. Does it say you're on a budget? If you have notes, I can't read them. What's your mana base like? You do have some sorceries. Curse of the Swine. Oh yeah, I love it. Devastating Tithe. Drafina's Restoration. Take any number of artifacts of your choice from target player's graveyard. Place them on top of that player's library in any order. So your own, I guess. Fabricate, Ponder, Train of Thought. I don't think you have many fetch lands in here, so your Brainstorm really sucks. Your Ponder is fine, I guess. Factor Fiction is good. Tectonic Edge. You have all the Urza lands, even though there's no chance in hell of those getting found. Did you have Expedition Map? You have no Expedition Map to find any of your key lands. Deck needs some Moxen. Decklist review time, poggers. Okay, I mean, it's just by looking at it. First, I think you should have Whir of Invention. Search your library for an artifact card with convert mana cost X or less opponents to the battlefield, then shuffle your library. I think you should have some Urza in here. That might be expensive, though. I'm not sure if you can afford to have the Urza. You could also have Karn, Sign of Urza, which puts a colorless construct artifact token with, it gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control, and you're a mono artifact deck. Unfortunately, also a pretty pricey card, but you can get it for like somewhat like $8. Expedition Map should be quite fine. Ooh, that's an interesting, Ancestral Vision? That might be expensive though. You have all the Urza lands. There is no chance in hell of those being found. Well, we can increase the chances with things like Expedition Map. So if you have one Urza land, you can find the others with her Expedition Map. Or you can find at least one other. Preordain, oh yes, I would agree. Preordain is much better than the Brainstorm. How much is Ancestral Vision right now? Oh, this is very cheap. This is a great card to have in your deck, then. You can have this one. $3. $3, not bad. Emery is missing? Oh, Emery is an interesting one. Because you're in the blue, so why not? Hell, this could be... This could even just be the commander. I mean, I'm guessing they really like the reality chip as a commander. But Emery is totally a good card. Yeah, so enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards, but then you can start putting those artifacts from the graveyard onto the battlefield. You slowly use Emery, and as they die, Emery will bring them back. So these are some options to think about to add to your wonderful deck. Panharmonicon, what does that do? I keep forgetting what this is between a lot of other big stupid artifacts. Oh, this is the... If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. I don't know if the mirrors trigger that much. They have like a lot of activated abilities, or I don't know if they trigger enough to justify putting that in the deck. I mean, I guess Mirror Battlesphere might be the only one. I don't think... Mirrors are not really ETB creatures. So I don't think... Mirror Retriever, I guess. No, it's dies. It's not ETB. Okay, hold on. What is If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes an ability to trigger. Yeah, I can't justify it. Not in this deck. This deck needs Grand Architect and Pillipala. King Ginger, loving the episode. Thoughtcast and Thought Monitor. That's a great idea. So actually, do you know what? Thoughtcast might be a better idea than Brainstorm. Because we are heavy on the artifacts, right? So Thoughtcast, great idea. 1 blue. Basically, ideally, you'll cast this for 1 blue, and you'll just draw the 2 cards. And Thought Monitor, if it's cheap enough. Same situation. Don't be tempted to go all in on the Affinity. Are there Affinity commander decks? Emery plus Intruder Alarm? Maybe. I think 13 blue sources is rough for triple blue cards. How many triple blue cards are there in this deck? Oh, for Blue Sun Zenith? Oh, Blue Sun... Oh, maybe that and War of Invention are clunky. You can tap blue stuff. You know what? You're right. I think you're right. How many blue sources do we have? Does it say? How do you know? How do you know? I can't even tell. So we have 1... So hold on. How many blue sources? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I just count 5? We have 5 blue sources in this deck? Did I read that right, chat? How many other blue sources? I mean, we could somewhat depend on our mirrors that add mana, but I don't think that's dependable. Do we need like a lot? The islands are stacked together? Where are the islands? Islands! Oh, we have 9 islands. Okay, so it's 1. Oh, I see. Okay. It looked like a 1 to me. We have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I see 14 blue sources. It's rough. There probably should be more blue sources to justify all of this. So some things you could get rid of. Return target artifact card. You could keep the Buried Ruin. Darksteel Citadel, I guess you can keep. Desert? That should be an island. I don't think that's important. Dust Bowl, love it. Mikokoro, you can keep that. Mirren of the Moaning Well, sacrifice a creature, you gain life equal to the sacrifice creature's toughness. This should be an island. Not Reliquary Tower. You probably aren't going to have that many cards in your hand, so I would opt to... I mean, I don't know how this deck plays out. Maybe you do draw a million cards with Blue Sun Zenith or something like that, but I would opt to... Like, I think you should have more islands. Rogue's Passage, that probably could be an island. Shrine of Forsaken God, add 2 mana to your mana pool, spend this mana only to cast colorless spells. Activate this ability. I mean, that card's okay. Tectonic Edge, that card's okay. Temple of the False God. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. Maybe you just dump the Urza lands. Like, this is a pipe dream. Maybe. War Room. You do need more islands. Oh, you need more islands than the wastes. How many things depend on wastes? Do you have a single card that needs a waste? Waste is a waste of a basic land type. Get rid of the wastes. Okay, we found it. Wastes. Get rid of wastes, add more islands. I love it. Alright. That's Coffee and MTG for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you liked all-day deck list review. As usual, we do this Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. Thank you very much for all the super chats and everyone who joins the channel, becoming a member, making me real, to guarantee that this show keeps going on. Lets me know that you love the show. And we gotta keep Coffee and MTG going for many years into the future. But thank you very much for all of you showing up, becoming part of the conversation, especially to help people build their deck lists. Everyone needs help. We're out there to help them. But I need you more than they need me. Sorry, they need you more than they need me because you're a hive mind. I only know so many cards. You guys know the rest of them. So as usual, keep brewing up those coffees and we will keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves and I will see you